Welcome to the Congressional Award webinar and the Boy Scout Partnership celebration. It's been since 1999 that the Congressional Award partnered with the Boy Scouts, and we are delighted to be able to bring you some programming today to outline that partnership and give some examples of some of our members of the scouting community to share with our Congressional Award participants, with our parents, with our friends. As everyone is joining us right now, we're excited to see these numbers come in. Hello and welcome. My name is Erica Heiss. I serve as the Executive Director of the Congressional Award Foundation, and I am here in Washington, D.C. I want to welcome our Congressional Award community. Thank you so much for joining us today. And this conversation, this webinar will be recorded. So we will be sharing this with everyone afterwards. That has been a very popular question. And I would like to encourage everyone to please say hello. Let us know here in the chat where you are coming from. We would love to say hello to you. And if you have some questions today, please drop that in the chat as well. So today we do want to accomplish a couple different things. One, we are really excited to welcome members of Congress joining us today. In fact, they are voting at this moment, so they will be joining us a little bit later in the program, but Congressman John Garamendi from California is joining us today. Congressman Pete Sessions from the great state of Texas, and Congressman G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania will all be on today's webinar. And they have all earned their Eagle Scout, and they're excited to share their experiences with you. I am also really privileged to have with us Jonathan Toms from Smithfield Foods and Fernando Miranda Fred, a gold medalist who is in Texas studying there in Austin, who is also going to be speaking with everyone today. So thank you again. I'm seeing a lot of Virginia, Illinois, Colorado. Hello to everybody, Georgia, Massachusetts, Michigan, Florida. You've got some in Texas, Missouri. Awesome. Cary, North Carolina, fabulous. So continue to let us know where you're coming in from. I am, first of all, really excited because I myself am a member of the scouting community. I am a Girl Scout leader. I was a Girl Scout growing up, but I am currently a cadet leader. And so for those that have asked about our scouting webinar today, this one is focused on Boy Scouts. We will have a second webinar focused on Girl Scouts. And we are doing that only because of the number of members of Congress that have been involved in scouting. We wanted to give as many an opportunity to share their stories with you as possible. So please be on the lookout for some additional information about the Girl Scout webinar. I'd also like to announce that we will be sending everyone a Boy Scout Toolkit that will fully outline how you all can engage your scouts in the Congressional Award program, how to earn the Congressional Award at the same time as earning merit badges. One of the beauties of this partnership is that pretty much anything you are doing in scouting can count also toward the Congressional Award. And we're going to talk about that. Those two programs dovetail very nicely. Obviously, we have our 4 pillars: voluntary public service, personal development, physical fitness, and expedition exploration. All of that is covered within Boy Scouts. So you all have an opportunity when you are camping, when you are serving the community, when you're planning your Eagle Scout project, when you're earning those badges, every one of those activities can count toward the Congressional Award. So we encourage you to share this information with your scouts and to follow up with us to make sure that we're answering your questions and providing the right materials in our Boy Scout Toolkit. We will have a dedicated page on our website for the Boy Scouts. We will also have one for the Girl Scouts, and it will highlight things like a sample record book, how to write up some of your activities, how to track hours, answering some of your frequently asked questions. And we do hope that that will be helpful for everyone. So I want to start by introducing Jonathan Toms of Smithfield Foods, who's going to kick things off for us today. And one thing I want to point out about Jonathan, who is a friend, Smithfield Foods is a partner of the Congressional Award program. As some of you know, we are a private-public partnership, and Smithfield Foods actually enables us to put on such programming. So we're very thankful to them. But Jonathan is a former Scout, and I know that a lot of our participants are curious about the pathway to career and some of the things that you may have learned in Scouting that might have attributed to your pathway. So Jonathan, I would love for you to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and what it is that you do at Smithfield Foods.
Yeah, thank you so much, Erica. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who's joined us here today. My name is Jonathan Toms, as Erica mentioned, and I'm the Charitable Initiatives Manager for Smithfield Foods. It's really exciting to be able to speak with you all here today, especially alongside 3 members of Congress. So certainly to representatives who have joined us here today, thank you for being here and for sharing your words of wisdom. Erica, when you asked me kind of what is my entrance into Scouting, you mentioned, your own involvement with the Girl Scouts. And I like to say that that's actually what got me started with Scouting, was being the unofficial mascot for my older sister's Girl Scout troop. My mom was the leader for her Girl Scout troop, and I was dragged along to all of their meetings for the first several years of my life. So that was my first kind of entrance into Scouting. And I could not wait to be able to go off and join the Cub Scouts once I was old enough to do so. So I got involved with Scouting at a young age, participated in Cub Scouts all the way up through Boy Scouts in high school. Really, it was all about that sense of community for me, and looking for some of those fun things to do with other kids who were my age. But it really grew into so much more than that, and instilled in me a lot of the values and the skills and the experiences that led to where I am now today. So of course, all of those different friendships that I was able to enjoy and develop, as well as those leadership opportunities. I eventually became the senior patrol leader of my own troop when I was in Scouting. Just kind of all of those different things combined, instilled in me a lot of those different things, from confidence in myself, leadership, that spirit of service, that have been incredibly important skills and aspects of my own career. Here at Smithfield, I've been with Smithfield Foods for over 5 years. I started in our corporate communications team, and I'm now responsible for our nationwide charitable giving efforts, our nonprofit partnerships, of which the Congressional Award is an incredible partner of ours. We're incredibly grateful to be able to support your mission. And I'm also responsible for our community stakeholder engagement. So, I'm just proud to be here, and really look forward to answering some of your questions about, as you mentioned, Erica, that pathway that led me from Scouting and being a member of the Boy Scouts to my career, and the way in which those skills have manifested themselves today.
I love that. And we're excited to get to those questions. And one thing I do want to mention as a part of Smithfield Foods charitable giving, I know that you all do a lot in the food insecurity space and donate a lot from Smithfield. And I want to mention that because that is a project that we see quite a bit in Scouting, and that does overlap. So can you just share a little bit about what you do there as a company?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a food company, we oftentimes say feeding people is what we do. And that really manifests itself within our social purpose to help feed the hungry. So for many, many years now, Smithfield has partnered with Feeding America and the National Network of Food Banks to provide donations of protein to food banks all across the country. Just make sure that product is getting into the hands of those who really need it most. Last year was actually our largest year of philanthropic giving here at Smithfield Foods, to the tune of over $70 million of donations that we made to our nonprofit partners. And that included more than 17 million servings of protein to food banks all across the country. And of course, this is a natural tie-in with one of the very first things that I was involved in from a community service project, and that is the Scouting for Food project through the Boy Scouts of America. That was one of my favorite times of the year, every year when we would go around and distribute the bags throughout our community. But the even better feeling was a couple of weeks later when we would go back to pick up those bags and be able to deliver them to, to the local food bank and just see the power of those donations coming from the local community and what it would mean for our neighbors in need. So definitely an experience that that got me involved with community service at a young age and led me to where I am today.
Scouting for Food. We are going to share some of these programs in the toolkit on the Congressional Award webpage. So I want to thank you for talking about that. And we'll share some of the great work that Smithfield Foods has done as well, because I think Feeding America and other organizations and national nonprofits could certainly use volunteers from the scouting community. So we're excited to share that, Jonathan. Thank you so much. And with that, I am going to introduce Fernando Miranda. Fred is a 2019 Congressional Award Gold medalist and also an Eagle Scout. He also serves as one of our diversity ambassadors. We're so thankful to have Fernando joining us today. And I think you actually have a podcast episode coming up on your journey, your Congressional Award journey as well. So I encourage folks to check out the Congressional Award podcast. But welcome, Fernando. How are you?
I'm doing so well. How are you? I'm right now here. I'm in Austin. It's just a couple days ago, we had like a nice decrease in temperature because it was Austin wanted to trick us and tell us that it was fall, but fall doesn't really ever come here in Texas. So that was a little bit of a disappointment because it's back again to 90 degrees today. How are you doing?
Doing well. It is a beautiful fall day here in Washington, D.C. I feel very fortunate. And so we'll share that with you as much as we can, Fernando. Thank you for asking. But I just want to say I'm so impressed with your story. And I hope that we can start off with you just sharing a little bit about your Congressional Award journey, and then we can talk about scouting as well.
Okay. So I originally heard about the Congressional Award as just this thing one of my college counselors told me about. I wasn't really sure what to think about it. I had never really heard about this and like all these community service hours. It was something I was convinced I was just never really going to be able to do, that there was no point in me looking into it. But she managed to convince me because she showed me that through this program and through doing these activities, through involving yourself in these 4 different aspects that the award has, you can really grow as an individual. And being completely honest, it wasn't something I was completely sold on initially. It was something I was kind of like, oh, she's just saying this, it's just to look good on the resume. But as I continued in the program and I really began to reflect about the experiences that came about because of my involvement in this, I began to realize that it's truly a completely unique and amazing experience filled with lessons that you can apply at any point in your life. And that was something that I came to realize, at least kind of through growing the program myself. But I mean, to all you guys who are considering, I'd say absolutely do it. This is one of the best things you can do to really jumpstart your career and then jumpstart just self-exploration.
Fantastic. So you are, of course, an Eagle Scout, something you'll carry with you forever. Tell us a little bit about what you did in earning that special recognition, which is, as we know, very rigorous, And then let's talk a little bit about how that ties in with the Congressional Award program. How did those two things sort of marry together for you?
Of course. So for my Eagle Scout project, it's a very lengthy process. I mean, I'm sure as many of you guys know it, and you guys are Eagle Scouts in the chat. I wanted to create something that was going to have a very meaningful impact on a community. And I eventually ended up settling on this one community in San Antonio called Haven for Hope. And essentially they're a homeless person rehabilitation center. So essentially individuals who have been made homeless or recently made homeless, they give them a free place to stay, food, and they actually educate them on different ways that they can kind of get back on their feet and re-enter as, functioning members of society. And kind of how that ties in with the Congressional Award is that I use that as my requirement to fulfill the requirement of volunteer service of that is that aspect of the Congressional Award. And I'd say honestly, it was a really incredible experience being able to go, into these communities and just see, how fortunate I am to have the things that I want, but at the same time, how there's no situation out there that is completely hopeless, and that if you work hard, really anything is possible. And it was a very moving experience, at least for what I did specifically in this community. Was I remodeled the child and youth learning centers here at Haven for Hope. And what those are essentially is those are the areas that the children of the individuals who are on the campus, that's where they go, the children. So, and I remember obviously when I reached out to Haven for Hope to, tour the facility and see if it was a place that I wanted to do my Eagle Scout project at, I remember coming into these two rooms and I knew right from the moment that I walked in that they were the two most beat up, most used rooms essentially in the entire facility. And that was what kind of drove me to want to do my project in this area, was because I knew that it was going to be used. And I knew that the donations that I made, the remodeling that I did in each one of these areas, it was going to be heavily used by a lot of children, and that I was going to be able to make a positive impact on a lot of lives and hopefully inspire them to, look for a better tomorrow. And that was a very, very moving experience for me, being able to have that impact on these children's lives. Specifically in both the child and youth learning centers, I requested that my troop donated toys related to education and STEM related activities. So that way kids who have, an interest in science or chemistry, or, obviously nothing too crazy, blowing up experiments or anything like that, that they would have the option to explore these different fields. And I thought that was, I was really touched by that, being able to make that difference. And it was something that was only really possible, or that I only really did through my quest for Eagle Scout, which ultimately was also for, the ability to earn this amazing award and be a part of this program.
Fantastic. So you did use your Eagle Scout project toward the Congressional Award as well for your voluntary public service. That's one of the questions coming to us in the chat is, can you use your Eagle Scout project or your Gold Award project if you're a Girl Scout for the Congressional Award? And the answer is, of course, absolutely yes. Yeah, 100%. So just to reiterate, every activity that we do in scouting, we can count toward one of the 4 areas of the Congressional Award program. And that really is the beauty of it. But you do have to know about the Congressional Award opportunity first, because retroactive hours do not count. That is another question that's being asked. So hours that you've already done before you've registered for the Congressional Award, unfortunately, will not count toward earning the award. But once you register and set those personally challenging goals, you can go for it. So the earlier we can get our students to know about the program, the better, because then once they're kind of at that age where they're starting to work on their Eagle Scout project or any merit badge, they can start to also count those hours toward the Congressional Award program. So I do want to ask, just how has the award served you as a student, as getting into college? And I know that you have seen some level of success there. You are a student athlete as well. I think you have to do a great deal in balancing your time at this point in your life. Can you share a little bit about just what you've learned, what you've been able to carry through into this phase for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. So I think kind of an ongoing motif, at least with my journey with the Congressional Award and Boy Scouts, just my life in general, is the willingness to put myself in situations that make me uncomfortable, or situations in which I may not know as much as everybody. I think that's a very important skill. That's something, it's a difficult thing to develop, obviously, but I find that the Congressional Award was one of the first instances in my life, along with the Boy Scouts, to kind of, assimilate the two, that I really was pushed outside of my comfort zone to do something that I really hadn't ever done before. And I think that honestly is a priceless life experience. And it's going to teach you a lot about how to make the best out of any situation that you're in. I think that it's a very important life lesson, because not all the times in life are you going to know everything that's going on. For those of you guys who might have been on a high adventure trip, or you're trying to complete the exploratory requirement for the Congressional Award, you're going to find yourself where, like, hey, maybe I don't know that much about, what it's like to go camping in this specific area, or I've never dealt with this specific climate. And that's going to be something that comes up throughout your life if you want to be someone who wants to explore and really kind of find out what you're made of and what you're capable of. It's crucial that you take the steps necessary to advance and to put yourself into situations where things aren't always going to be handed to you, and there might be struggling involved. But I think at the end of the day, it builds character, and it teaches you to make the best of situations where things might always be as great, but it teaches you perseverance. And I think that's something that is invaluable about the Congressional Award and Boy Scouts.
That's a great answer. I love that. So one thing that folks are asking is, what was, if you can remember, what was your favorite merit badge? And I'm going to ask this of Jonathan as well.
I would say that my favorite merit badge was definitely the scuba diving merit badge. That was an activity that I did a lot with my troop 285 in San Antonio, Texas. It was just really cool learning about all the different components, the BCD, I forgot what it's called, the regulator, and all the different pieces of equipment that you need to know about to go scuba diving and everything like that. And I was also very interested in the science of it all, and, like the pressure per square inch, and how that affects the human body. I just thought a lot of it was very interesting. And then also being able to see the cool things that I would see underwater when I went scuba diving, the Canal River.
That is very cool. That is very cool. How about you, Jonathan? Favorite merit badge?
Well, Fernando and I have something in common here, in that both of our favorite merit badges have to do with water. So my favorite merit badge was actually the sailing merit badge that I got at summer camp one year when we went to aquatic space here in Virginia, and learned how to, sail both a large sailboat and a small sailboat, all of the different aspects and knots and everything else that go into that. And it just was a really, really exciting thing to learn, and really ignited in me a love of boating that I still have today. So.
Excellent. Excellent. I do want to also ask about goal setting. Congressional Award is all about goal setting, as you probably know. All of our young people have to set personally challenging goals in the 4 different program areas. How has that goal setting helped you? Because in scouting, we do a lot of goal setting as well. Every badge that we're earning, we are preparing, we're planning, especially when you're doing some sort of big project, whether that's for the Eagle Scout or something else for serving. I think our students are sort of at that age where they're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, maybe preparing for college. I think, goal setting is going to be one of those critical elements that you will see time and time again into your into college, into the workforce and beyond. Jonathan, can you share anything about the importance of that and the role that has played in your life?
Oh, absolutely. Goal setting never goes away. It's certainly something that will continue to be important throughout, your entire personal and professional career. You have everything from your own personal development goals within your organization. You've got your the goals for the organization as a whole. We just finished going through here at Smithfield are updating some goals and targets for our sustainability program. But it's not just about setting those big, hairy, audacious goals, but it's also about setting the action plans on how you'll achieve those goals. And certainly, I think that's something that is instilled within you through the scouting program, as you're working on pathways to achieve your different, whether it be your merit badges or your different ranks within scouting, but really working against the steps on how you accomplish those goals. And that's certainly a model that is present for the rest of your life, both within your own personal goals as well as goals for your career in an organization.
That's great. How about you, Fernando? How are those goals serving you?
Goal setting is one of those things, at least as it pertains to the Congressional Award. It really teaches you that you're going to get better at goal setting, and most importantly, kind of enacting or actually doing the plan by doing it. It's one of those things that you get better as you have more experience doing so. And intrinsic to the nature of the Congressional Award, you're going to have to set goals. You have a lot of hours that you have to fulfill in each one of the sectors, and that's what I like about it, is that it forces you to have to break it down, because goals at the end of the day are something that you really just have to take day by day. You have to do this amount today, this amount tomorrow. Overall, in your head, you should have an idea of what the big picture is, and that when the going gets tough on a day-to-day basis, you can think about that and be like, I'm doing this for these reasons. And that'll help you push through those moments where things are difficult. But I think all in all, through both Boy Scouts and the Congressional Award, it teaches you to set goal setting, but also what it means to have to follow that day by day by day, because you're going to have to be thinking about these things if you want to be successful in either one of these programs. But it's all the better for you, because you get that experience, you get that knowledge, and this can be applied to any aspect of your life.
I love it. I want to talk a little bit about COVID. Okay, there has been a tremendous impact on our students, on the scouting community, on parents, on advisors, parents, teachers, everyone, and the adjustments that they have had to make. So I don't want to go too far into this programming without just mentioning the importance of self-care, emotional and mental health, how we're taking care of ourselves, some of the little adjustments that we've had to make. Are there any adjustments that you've made that you can share with this group? Because I think, for myself, really important to take walks and take breaks, right? I mean, we're on Zoom today. I know we've seen a lot of Zoom in our roles, and sometimes that can get a little tiresome. I know some of our students are missing sports, and they're missing some of the things that they were able to do. Maybe they haven't been able to get back into troop meetings yet, or camping trips, but anything that you all can share on that impact within you, and maybe offer a few ideas of what other young people can be doing through this COVID and post-COVID time period to take care of themselves. Jonathan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I can start. I would just say to not forget about the importance of human connection. I think it's really just so important to who we are. And it's one of those things that, while Zoom and Teams meetings and everything like that is great, and it's a wonderful way to continue to collaborate with one another, it's important to take a couple of minutes just to, catch up personally and check in on your team members and your friends and see how folks are doing. And not get too focused in on the details and the minutia of the day, but to still make time for those moments of social connection.
It's a great answer. Fernando.
To kind of add to that, I want to say something that, is very pertinent, I think, to a lot of the people who might be in this call, and that's to learn to set boundaries for yourself on all aspects or anything related to social media. And I think this is something that is criminally underrated in today's society, given the fact, especially given how prevalent social media is in all of our lives. I know that, 9 out of 10 people probably on this call have an Instagram account, a Facebook account. And I think that it's very important to set boundaries, and then to also realize that at the end of the day, social media they're just really pictures at the end of the day. It doesn't define you, how many likes or followers you have, or what other people are doing, because at the end of the day, no one's really posting when they're at their worst. It's a hyper reality it's what we want other people to believe of us. And I think that's something that's very important to keep in mind, because I think a lot of us get on, especially in today where we might not have as much time to interact with our friends. A lot of us are on our phones, checking Snap, Instagram, Facebook. And it's very easy for us to get caught up in, comparing ourselves to other people because, it's intrinsic to human nature to compare ourselves. But I think that that's a really important lesson that I wish I would have learned earlier, is to set boundaries for yourself on social media, maybe even time restraints, and that to just always be cognizant of the fact that it's not 100% accurate all the time, and that just because you're struggling at one point and you don't think other people are, doesn't mean that they aren't, and that everyone's human, everyone makes mistakes, and that you can't let what other people are projecting or what you are projecting to become your reality. I think that's very important.
That's so important. That's such a really critical message right now. I do want to address a couple of the questions that are in the chat, and one of them is Philmont. Philmont does count as the expedition portion of the Congressional Award. We understand the amount of hard work that goes into that, so I do want to mention that. And someone has asked about leading merit badges and leading the troop. Those hours do count toward voluntary public service, but just be very specific to only use those hours in which you are leading, not all of your hours in Boy Scouts, because some of those hours actually are, probably pertain to a different program area. So I do want to mention that. Some folks are asking about how to find an advisor. For a lot of our scouts, a natural advisor would be your Boy Scout leader, but it can be a teacher. It could be someone in your community. We do see a lot of guidance counselors that serve as advisors. We see other adults in the community. Just make sure, of course, it's not a parent, not a relative. That's very important. But I do think it helps us transition to this conversation a little bit about mentorship. The Congressional Award is a mentor-based program, which means every young person has at least one adult in the program that is helping to guide and serve as a touch point for these young people. They are checking in to say, where is your skill set? Where's your skill level now? Where do you want it to be? How would you like to get there? And then monitor how that progress is being made. And that's such a critical, important relationship. So I do want to take a moment to just thank all of the advisors that are on today's webinar, because the time and energy and passion that you share through scouting or through, other forms of mentorship are so critically important. So, and I think for all of our students to think a little bit about becoming a mentor at some point later in life to others. You probably have some amazing adults in your life that are helping open doors for you. They're advocating for you. They are providing resources and opportunities and helping to build you up and take you to the next level. So we recognize that, and we hope that you will choose to be that in someone else's life when it's appropriate. Jonathan and Fernando, can you speak at all about mentorship? Any mentors in your life, whether that's through scouting or somewhere else?
Yeah, I'll go first, Erica. So certainly through scouting, enjoyed a number of mentors, both among the adult leaders of our troop, as well as the other troop leaders when I was younger in the troop, and then also enjoyed that same experience of being able to be a young mentor for my peers as well. I've noticed that, with scouting, as you go on later in life, it kind of opens up this sense of community, and as you meet others who were scouts when they were younger, kind of that shared experience with others, that just is a wonderful thing to have. And then, of course, as I went off to college and met my own network of mentors there, and into my professional life, mentorship is just continues to be a wonderful, important thing. So I certainly encourage everyone who's on the call, who, if you've got a mentor in your life, reach out and say thank you, and show your appreciation, because the lessons that you'll learn from them will stay with you for a very long time.
I think that was very well said on Jonathan's part. I agree with pretty much everything that he said. Just the amount of fathers that we had in my troop that helped contribute to the person that I am today is just that their impact is immeasurable. A lot of them, my most fondest memories were, I'd say that the person that had the most impact was obviously my father. He was very involved with my Boy Scout troop, and him and I were tenting buddies a lot of the time, and he had so much impact, who I am today, because he was my father, but also because he taught me so much about camping, fishing, and just all the amazing activities that scouting has to offer. And then I also wanted to hit on something else really quickly for those of you on the call. I know that we have like a very young audience, is that I know that it's very easy sometimes to just be like, oh, camping, this is kind of boring. I'd much rather be at home playing video games or doing this. And I'm 21 now, and so I'm like maybe like 5-6 years older than y'all. So like I know that for some of y'all that might be a considerable difference, but genuinely speaking, I would absolutely recommend that you try to do as many of those activities as you can, because there's going to come a day when you can't, and you're not going to be able to you won't realize kind of how amazing, some of these experiences are. Like what I give right now to, just take a weekend off and just go hiking and camping with my dad. And I think that's something that I just wanted to make apparent to y'all, because, I am kind of similar in age to a lot of y'all, but just keep that in mind. Like really, really treasure those experiences, being able to go camping and everything like that, because one day you might not be able to. So I just wanted to keep that.
I love it. I love it. And I encourage everyone to explore the national parks, state parks, take advantage, get outside. I do the same. Really excited to share that experience with our Girl Scouts. We're very fortunate to live near the Appalachian Trail and the Shenandoah National Park. So I do want to give that plug for the national park system. Please, I'm sure a number of scouts have already done in their explorations, in their expeditions. That's such a fantastic resource. I want to thank both of you for all those comments. We'll come back to you here shortly, but we understand that we have Congressman Pete Sessions and Representative G.T. Thompson joining us. And I'm so thankful for their participation, because votes have gone long today, and I know there's a lot to pack in here. So I want to start with Congressman Thompson to say hello, sir. It's a pleasure to have you joining us. Can you share just a little bit about your relationship to the Boy Scouts and your scouting journey for us?
All those that are on the call, a huge number of participants I saw, and just a little bit about me. I mean, in my life, I've worn a lot of different hats. I've been a therapist. I've been a rehab services manager. I've been licensed as a nurse administrator. Did a little adjunct teaching at a community college for adults and for young people. Just a lot of different topics, a lot of different titles. But and today I'm a member of Congress. But I think more than anything else, I'm an old Boy Scout. I've been involved in scouting since I was 11 years old. My parents did an amazing thing. When I was 11, they brought a boy that was just 2 years older than I, who had been bouncing around foster homes, into our home, and they made a promise to Bob at that point that he could continue with the scout troop in the neighboring valley that he had started with. And as a younger brother, I lucked out. I got to tag along at 11 years old, and I've never looked back. I've been involved in scouting now for 50 years, actually, this year. Hard to believe. So I'm Eagle Scout, was a chapter chief and a lodge chief in the Order of the Arrow, Monacan Lodge, in Juniata Valley Council, Scoutmaster for almost 28 years, council president, and today I have the privilege of serving on the scouting, the Congressional Scouting Caucus, and serve with my good friend and brother Eagle Scout, Congressman Pete Sessions, on the National Eagle Scout Association board. So scouting is definitely in my blood. It's really made a difference for me. It was through scouting that I identified my life purpose. it was really that very first community service project that I did when I was 11. We were washing fire trucks, and back then, and today, I think about it, if you're an 11-year-old boy, there's nothing cooler than crawling around on those fire trucks. And washing fire trucks, I think it's probably just as cool for 11-year-old girls. I've just never been one, so I do think that. But what that imprinted on me was just how much I enjoyed, how fulfilling it was to make a difference in the lives of other people. And so I talk about how important it is that you figure out what your life purpose is. And you do that two ways. Number one, you be a sponge, get as much out of your education as possible. And number two, you pay attention to what's going on around you. And for me, that what really crystallized was how fulfilling it was for me to make a difference in the lives of other people. Now, by life purpose, I don't mean the job you'll have or the job title. It's more than that. It's the satisfaction that you derive, that you get when you're doing something that it's just fulfilling. It's what is motivating to you. It's what you're passionate about. And so I will say that scouting has been saw a lot of. I hope I hang in there. My battery is kind of low here. A lot of the chat about Philmont and Seabase, and those were. Both as a youth and certainly as an adult, spent a lot of time at those high adventure bases. That's something we did every August as a troop. We went somewhere and did something for usually 10 days to 14 days. But one of the things in terms of I took from scouting was what I call principle-based leadership. And that's what I learned and experienced. It was a muscle memory I developed in terms of exercising the principles of scouting. That's what guides me. The cool part about principle-based leadership, you kind of set your principles ahead of time, and then you use them like the true north needle on a compass, so that it always guides you, keeps you going the right direction. Now, principle-based leadership is kind of cool that you get to set your own principles ahead of time. And then you plant your feet and you'll be able to deal with whatever pressures come your way. Now for me, those principles come from scouting. The cool part about principle-based leadership is, though, you're responsible for setting your own principles. You choose what will guide you. Now, I understand many of you on the call are involved in scouting, and I encourage you to think about those principles of scouting. When I'm on the House floor and we just get done voting, I ask myself 4 questions. Those are my guiding principles in my life. And when I'm voting, and we just get done voting, I'll ask myself these same 4 questions. Decision I'm about to make, what is my duty to God? Is the decision I'm making is righteous to God's word according to my faith? I will say there's 4 questions, but if the answer is no in the first one, I don't go on to 2, 3, and 4. If the answer is yes, then I go on and ask myself the question, what is my duty to country? The decision I'm making, what does the Constitution have to say about it? Number 3, what is my duty to others? That's my current position. That's about 730,000 citizens and 24% of the landmass of Pennsylvania. And finally, what is my duty to self? And for those that haven't been involved in scouting, that were around, they're a little, that sounds a little self-serving, but duty to self, we know in scouting means in every decision we make and every action we take, we are prepared to do our best. And those 2 things should certainly sound familiar to you, taken from the Scout motto and the Scout slogan. So scouting has been and will always be a big part of my life.
I love the values-based framework that you just talked about, and our students will engage as we become adults in conflict and how you mitigate decisions. And everyone uses a different framework for making those decisions. And that framework, that values principle-based framework, has come from scouting. And so what a tremendous impact that must have had on your life and continues to have. And I just ask that our our scouting community just really thinks about that. That's a lot to unpack right there, but that has carried on 50 years. Congratulations, 50 years this year, and it's your 50th anniversary with the Scouts. And I just want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your service in Congress and for all the roles, all the hats that you have worn in those 50 years and the contributions you've made to your community. We really do thank you. And that serves as an inspiration for us, our Congressional Award community, our students, our parents, and our advisors. So thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We talked a little bit about Philmont, and we had a couple of questions with Seabase as well. And that does count. That is also an expedition. So if anyone is considering that for their expedition, that's a wonderful trip. Just make sure that you're writing it up, describing it, talking about the goals, talking about the execution and all the things that you did learn there. So thank you, by the way, for all of these questions as you all are guiding these young people through scouting and earning a congressional award. I think it's important to kind of hash out what counts and how to record things properly. And I do want to mention as well that everything can be submitted electronically through Submittable, which is our new online tool for submitting your record books to the Congressional Award National Office. That means no more paper record books. You can actually just go online, submit it all that way. We'll have electronic signatures. I think it makes everyone's life a little bit easier. So please check that out. That will also be on our website where you all can explore that. And starting October 15th, all of our submissions will be coming electronically through Submittable. So please be sure to check that out. Also, for those earning the gold medal, do you have to earn each level or can you go straight to gold? You can go straight to gold. However, I would encourage you to start at the bronze medal level or an earlier level just to make sure that you're doing everything appropriately and understanding the program. You don't want to put in a minimum of 2 years working toward the goal only to find out that some activity was not properly recorded. So please start with one of the lower levels. I would encourage that. It is now my pleasure to introduce Congressman Pete Sessions. I know he's a friend, a colleague. He has been a part of our Congressional Award program for many years, and we know that he's a huge advocate for scouting. Congressman Sessions, can you hear us?
Really, on behalf of GT and myself, we're your congressional leaders that sit on the National Eagle Scout Association board, and GT is a stellar Scoutmaster. I was a Scoutmaster for about 3 years in Troop 88 in Bridgewater, New Jersey. GT has been a Scoutmaster for a number of years. Moved back to Texas, had an opportunity to become engaged with both my boys. I'm a part of a family of scouting. My grandfather wrote the God and Country Award in 1947, Dr. Will A. Sessions. My father was former FBI director for President Reagan, President Bush, President Clinton, was a National Distinguished Eagle Scout. I was honored to be a National Distinguished Eagle Scout in 1997. Both my boys are Eagle Scouts. So proud of them. One of them in the top 2% academically in this country. He's a medical doctor, Eagle Scout, and his little brother, a Down syndrome young man who's in the bottom academically 2%, but that did not deter each of these young men to fulfilling their values of citizenship and chivalry, of becoming Eagle Scouts. We say the Scout Oath and Scout Law almost every day. Alex, who is 25, my Down syndrome son, does not really remember scouting, but he knows the Scout Oath and Scout Law and knows he's an Eagle Scout. For each of you who are on this call, perhaps you're new to scouting, perhaps you've been around a while. GT Thompson, Congressman Thompson, spoke about Philmont for a second. I've been at Baldy Mountain 17 times. Love it. It's the pinnacle of anyone's outdoor activity and scouting, in my opinion. Been to Philmont a number of times where I've taught the wood badge course. I teach the final day that is coaching and mentoring, and believe that coaching and mentoring is among the several good activities that adult leaders need to be very good at to handle not just men and women of our time, but really to lead with courage and enthusiasm, and to give people not only the gift of paying attention and giving them respect and authority, but helping them grow. Today, what I'd like to do is to tell you that while I've been in scouting for over 50 years, I got my Eagle Scout Award in 1970 and have served at all levels. But I think that the most important thing about scouting is two things. Number one, sitting above Lover's Leap, which is about 10,000 something at Philmont Scout Ranch in a high meadow with 7 or 8 other 16-year-old scouts, looking at the heavens, the Milky Way, and pondering life at age 16. Don't forget, you're not out there by yourself, and you have an authority and a responsibility to help other people at all times. And you also have a responsibility to take care of our earth and what we stand for as conservationists, and I deeply believe in that. Today, what I'd like to do is leave you with kind of a speech that I give often as I do Eagle ceremonies, just like Congressman G.T. Thompson does, but where I talk about something that's in the Scout Handbook. It's in the back. It's under the map and compass area, and it's a term that's called declination. And declination is, the meaning of that is, it is the difference between magnetic north and true north. They're about 4 degrees apart. And as a young man growing up, we grew up in the Methodist Church, and it was a common place to have preachers challenge youth, I guess other adults too, but challenge youth and challenge them to a purpose-driven life, a life where you had chivalry involved, where your own ethics became involved, and you were able to accept the responsibility of not just maturity, but of being a great person. And I recall this term that they used was true north. And it referred to, like Congressman Thompson did, of a direction that you're headed in your life with a purpose-driven life, a meaningful life, one which you can choose. But I also knew that living a life of being true north is hard, and it is hard. It's hard to always do the right thing. And because we are human, we make mistakes. But I think that living a life in declination means that you can also live very, very close to that true north, and it's called magnetic north. And they're 4 degrees apart. They're very tight, 4 degrees out of 360. And it means that you need to live your life where you can count on yourself, where you know about yourself and your experiences in life, to where they add up, and they add up to meaningful things that will make your life not only enrichment, but also that others will gain that purpose from you. And we've always been a part of wanting to be something great in life. And G.T. Thompson talked about, man, a fire truck. I wanted to be a police officer. My dad was FBI director, so sure, I wanted to be an FBI agent. But that's not my point. My point is, some people may want to be a park ranger. Some people may want to be a teacher. Some people may want to grow up and be a Navy SEAL. But character will ultimately determine your success or your failure. Your own personal viewpoint of your responsibility. And that's what I think scouting has given me. We tell the truth. We try and do the right thing. We lead, but we lead to the best. We don't ever make decisions that are just about ourselves. We include others. And I want you to know that now more than ever, our country needs young men and young women who actually have some clarity in their life, some burning desire to really accept the narrow path towards doing the right thing, trying to do their best and making sure that as they do it, they think about others. They think about the effects of what they do. So I want you to know, each of you, as you're listening to me across the country, yeah, you're listening to a Texan, a lifelong Texan who deeply believes in the out of doors, deeply believes in the highest of mountains. I've been to Mount Everest. I've climbed Mount Rainier. I've been in our streams and our rivers. I'm canoeing. I've done all these things. But our balance and commitment to America and to our God and to yourself, to thine own self be true, is important. I hope that you will find a way to lead yourself down a pathway of meaningful benefit to others, meaningful benefit to where you respect others and yourself. I'm very proud of being a Boy Scout. I'm very proud of being an Eagle Scout. And I want you to know that it is my hope that each one of you will dream the wildest dream you ever want to dream, of being something really outrageously awesome. And I hope part of that is to accept the challenge of declination and making the trip to the top of being an Eagle. Erica, I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Oh, Congressman, thank you so much for those words of inspiration, of passion and purpose, and definitely dedication to service. And I do thank our scouts and for our participants in the Congressional Award program who are all working to be outrageously awesome and give back to the community and set goals for themselves, which is why our program just dovetails so nicely with scouting, because everything can count toward the award as it does in the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts as well. So one question I do want to ask, because this is a popular one, but do you have a favorite merit badge? Do you have a favorite Boy Scout activity that you remember from being in the Scouts?
Yeah, yes, I do. And it is Forestry Merit Badge. Forestry Merit Badge put me out in the middle of trees, studying soil, studying how we sustain not just trees, but animals that are in them. Whole sections of our country are made up of beautiful forests and the grasslands that support them and the animals that are in there. And I actually believe that if we learn how to coexist with Mother Nature a little bit better, and I'm not just talking about global warming, I'm talking about how we treat her, how we, when we when we walk in our forest or in our streams or see our animals, to respect them and the things that they do, to know that the wildlife of America is very important and that we respect the animals and where they live. And if we understand forests, then we understand how important they are, and they have become a part of, unfortunately, people who say you can see them, but you can't be a part of them. They've gotten weary of people wandering through forest and perhaps not treating them the way they should. Yes, I get that, but we have trees that need us to understand them and keep a healthy forest. And that was the last part that I learned. What is a healthy forest? How do you keep a forest healthy? And it's just like, could be if you have a garden, you get the weeds out, you clean it up, you let it aerate, you make sure that it is safe, you do not treat it with disrespect, and you want it to sustain it. So I think that, yes, I do have a favorite merit badge, but I think if people commit themselves to public service, commit themselves to doing things, volunteerism, doing things for the right way and helping other people, it can also lead to avenues of a job and a lifetime career of speaking with people and understanding them better. So yes, it is true. Forestry merit badge was my favorite.
Congressman, it's so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Congressman John Garamendi from the great state of California. Welcome.
Delighted to be with you.
So we are talking today to our Boy Scouts or scouting community about the power of giving back to the community and how it aligns with the Congressional Award program. And I'm hoping that we can begin with your scouting story, your personal journey, how you came into scouting and what that has meant to you.
I believe my scouting career really began as a Cub Scout in a very small rural community of California up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. So there was this Cub Scout troop or group, and my mother and father said, you really ought to go do this. We did, found some wonderful friendships, and then on into the Boy Scouts. And every summer we had our annual camping at the Boy Scout campground further up into the mountains. And that was just really an exceptional time, not only to be with my friends in our own troop, but also reaching out beyond that. And of course, we were busily trying to collect the basic requirements for our various merit badges, from shooting to camping to all of the aquatic skills and the like. And it was just really a fantastic way to grow up. I had my own gang, and it was a positive gang. We were out doing good things. We would often, not often, every springtime, we were requisitioned to go to the cemeteries in our little rural community and to clean up. We were given a hoe, a trash bag, and the opportunity to hoe the weeds, cut the grass, and maintain it. And so right then and there, we learned that the scouting was also an opportunity to participate in the community. Not a necessity, although if you wanted a merit badge, you were going to do that, but really an opportunity. And we could see the value of work, and we could see the satisfaction of a job completed. Well done.
That's wonderful. You're speaking about the power of giving back. And clearly, in your way, you are continually doing that as a member of Congress, and I'm sure in a number of other ways in your community. What values have you carried forward with you from the Boy Scouts into your pathway to career? What do you think has really prepared you?
Well, the Boy Scouts prepare young men and now women to really be participants in their community, to be leaders, to excel at certain tasks, and to have goals out ahead of you. in scouting. The goal was to get the next merit badge or the next rank, to move up in ranks. And eventually for me, it was the goal of becoming an Eagle Scout, which I probably acquired in the very early days of scouting when I saw one of my senior members, actually of another troop, get the Eagle Merit Badge. And I said, I could do that. And so there was the goal setting that the Boy Scouts have by moving up through the ranks and getting the various merit badges to move on towards becoming an Eagle. So that was part of it. But also along the way, you cannot get those rank improvements without participating in the community. Some of that has to do with the merit badges. Some of it has to do with the community work that is always a part of the scouting. And so for me, that's kind of where we learned it all. I carried that on. I carried that on through high school, where we were volunteering after leaving the Scouts. And I don't know, there comes that time when you begin to chase other goals besides just the Scout goal. For me, it was athletics, and I won't say girls, but let's just say they were athletics, and occasionally looking to the next dance. But and then on to college, again with athletics. I was a successful football player at the University of California. So the academic goal and the athletics goals were all there. Wound up as a second team All-American as an offensive guard. But one really, really important thing happened along the way, even though there was a foundation for scouting. One of those young women that I was chasing after, we latched onto each other. And we dated throughout college. And after the well, it turned out that the University of California, Berkeley in 1995, its goal was to make sure that Notre Dame would be the #1 football team in the nation. And we did our best to make that happen. We lost 52-3. After that football game the next day, my not yet a fiance, my date, we'd gone to church and we were walking back from campus, and on a bridge there at over the stream at Berkeley, I asked her to marry me, and she said, I would love to marry you, but you're headed for the NFL, and I'm going to go in the Peace Corps. And I said, well, let's go in the Peace Corps. So the NFL was put aside, and we went off and served 2 years in remote part of Ethiopia. We had a mud hut and a dirt floor, and no water and no electricity for our 2-year honeymoon. It was the most wonderful, wonderful thing. And it set the stage for our life of service. And we did that. That was how we came into really the Peace Corps and a life of service. And that's carried on in the political world, where really, if you're interested in politics, or you're interested in policy and government and community, it becomes a life of service. And that's been my work for, well, ever since.
What a wonderful story. I mean, I love so much of what you just said. We have a lot of students that go into the Peace Corps from the Congressional Award program. I'm sure the scouting community sees a lot of boys and girls that move on to the Peace Corps to continue in their journey of giving back and becoming a part of society in a way that is meaningful and impactful to them. And as I'm sure you know, in the Congressional Award program, there is a physical fitness component. There's a health and wellness component. So we do a lot within sports and encouraging young people to stay active and fit, which, as you mentioned, very important as well. So that touches upon so many themes for us. And thank you for telling us about the wonderful person who has become your wife, and what that journey looked like as well. So I think our students have so many wonderful things ahead of them. And as we celebrate our anniversary with the Boy Scouts, you know, we started a partnership in 1999. We've seen so many boys come through and girls come through scouting and earn a congressional award. We hope that more of them continue to do so. And it does give them additional goals to work toward. And I think that's what it is. It just continues on year after year. And into new phases of life. Even now in adulthood, we have goals that we continually work for and toward.
Well, I will bet that any successful scout whether they are just beginning in the first class and rank and moving up the ranks, learns that service is not only a part of life, but it is one of the most rewarding parts of life. If you can help somebody, if you can advance their well-being, you are automatically enhancing your own life, your own happiness, your own satisfaction. And you're going to, in that process of service in the community, individuals will grow. The boys and the girls in the scouting program will grow. If they choose to involve themselves in public policy, whether it's in an elected office, an appointed office, or working in a government program, they can find enormous satisfaction and personal advancement in the sense of leading a good life. Undoubtedly, there'll be an opportunity to move up in whatever job there is and take on more responsibilities. And that's also one of the tenets of being a Boy Scout is to accept the responsibility that comes from your first day in scouting, listening and learning and growing. And then as you move up the ranks, training and teaching and helping others that are on the ladder below you. And if you do that in your life, it'll be a satisfying life. It'll be a good life, and you'll be a good citizen in the community. If you choose the public policy route, I got to tell you, you have the opportunity to attend really the greatest university in the world, which I've had the opportunity to attend for almost 50 years now, because people will want to educate you on the issues. They'll want you to understand their point of view. They'll want you to learn about their problem or their solution. And in that way, you can grow not only in service and solving problems, but also intellectually grow. So I'm really excited about your program. I'm excited about all of these young men and women that decide to get into it. Go big, get in, lead your life in the life of service.
Thank you so much. We'll end with those words, which are extremely powerful. Thank you so much for your time today, and we greatly appreciate your service there on Capitol Hill. Thank you, Congressman Garamendi.
Thank you.
Take care. And I just want to thank you. There's some wonderful compliments here in the chat, but of just your inspirational words and your speech. I think that relationship between magnetic north and true north is really something to think about, and is, gives us all a direction and a way of life. And I thank you for that. And I want to also recognize Jonathan Toms from Smithfield Foods. I want to recognize Fernando Miranda Fred, our gold medalist and diversity ambassador and Eagle Scout, for sharing his story as well. Congressman Thompson for his words, and for all of our scouting community for joining us today. Please know we will answer your questions. We have a website dedicated to the Boy Scouts with a sample record book and a toolkit and ways that you can apply your activities to the Congressional Award program, how you receive the award, how you write it up, sample goals, how to submit it, all that good stuff. congressionalaward.org. And we'll be sharing all of that information with you as a follow-up to this webinar. This will be recorded, of course, and available to everyone to be able to spread the word to other scouts and other members of the community, maybe engaging new students in scouting and maybe encouraging current scouts to earn a congressional award. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Take good care. Thank you all.